Picture this. You're 67 years old, and your doctor just told you those words that send chills down every senior's spine. You have glaucoma. Margaret from Ohio knows this feeling all too well. She sat in that sterile examination room last year, her hands trembling as the ophthalmologist explained how this silent thief of sight had already begun stealing her peripheral vision. Dear, what Margaret discovered that her doctor never mentioned, and what could change everything for you too. For humble vegetables sitting right in your local grocery store hold the power to not just slow down glaucoma, but potentially reverse its devastating effects. Before you reach for expensive eye drops or consider risky surgery, you need to hear Margaret's incredible story and discover these 4 nutritional powerhouses that have been hiding in plain sight. These aren't exotic superfoods or expensive supplements. They're common vegetables you can find anywhere. If you're watching this video, chances are you or someone you love has been touched by glaucoma. Maybe you've noticed that your peripheral vision isn't quite what it used to be. Perhaps you've been squinting more often, struggling to see things in your side vision, or feeling that nagging worry every time you bump into something you should have seen coming. You're not alone in this battle. Over 3 million Americans are living with glaucoma right now, and for seniors over 60, the numbers are even more staggering. I've spent the last 15 years working with seniors who've been diagnosed with this condition, and I've seen the fear in their eyes. The fear of losing independence. The fear of no longer being able to drive safely to visit grandchildren. The fear of that gradual darkness creeping in from the edges of their world. But I've also witnessed something remarkable. The incredible resilience of the human body when given the right tools to heal itself. Let me share something personal with you. My own grandmother, Eleanor, was diagnosed with glaucoma at age 71. I watched this vibrant woman who used to tend her garden for hours slowly withdraw from activities she loved. The eye drops made her eyes burn and water constantly. Traditional treatments were managing her condition, but barely. That's when I dove deep into nutritional research, determined to find natural solutions that could work alongside conventional treatment. What I discovered changed not just my grandmother's life, but the lives of hundreds of seniors I've worked with since then. Through careful research, I found that certain vegetables contain specific compounds that can actually improve intraocular pressure, enhance blood flow to the optic nerve, and provide the antioxidant protection that glaucoma-affected eyes desperately need. Let's start with the first vegetable that shocked even me with its potency. Leafy greens, particularly kale and spinach, are absolute powerhouses when it comes to eye health. These dark, leafy vegetables are loaded with lutein and zeaxanthin, carotenoids, that act like natural sunglasses for your eyes. But here's the part that most people do understand. These compounds don't just protect your eyes from light damage. They actually accumulate in the retina and help maintain healthy intraocular pressure. I remember working with Robert, a 74-year-old retired mechanic from Texas. His glaucoma pressure readings were consistently high despite multiple medications. Robert was skeptical when I suggested adding 2 cups of fresh kale to his daily routine, either in smoothies or lightly with garlic. Within 6 weeks of incorporating kale into his daily diet, His intraocular pressure dropped by 3 points. His ophthalmologist was amazed and asked what he'd been doing differently. The science behind this is fascinating. Kale contains incredibly high levels of nitrates, which help relax blood vessels and improve circulation to the optic nerve. Poor circulation is one of the key factors that worsens glaucoma damage. When you improve blood flow to this delicate nerve, you're giving it the oxygen and nutrients it needs to stay healthy and potentially even repair itself. But kale isn't the only leafy green that works. Spinach, collard greens, Swiss chard, and even arugula all contain similar protective compounds. The key is consistency. You need to be eating these vegetables daily, not just occasionally. I recommend at least 2 cups of raw leafy greens or 1 cup cooked every single day. The second vegetable that can dramatically impact your glaucoma might surprise you. It's the humble beet. Most people think of beets as just another root vegetable, but for glaucoma patients, beets are nothing short of miraculous. Here's why. Beets are one of the richest natural sources of dietary nitrates on the planet. When you eat beets, your body converts these nitrates into nitric oxide, a powerful compound that relaxes blood vessels and dramatically improves circulation. Let me tell you about Maria, a 69-year-old grandmother from Arizona, who was facing the possibility of glaucoma surgery. Her eye pressure had been climbing steadily for 2 years, and her vision field tests showed progressive damage. Maria's daughter had read about the benefits of beet juice and convinced her skeptical mother to try drinking 8 ounces of fresh beet juice every morning. Within 3 weeks, she noticed that her vision seemed clearer, especially in low light conditions. More importantly, her next eye exam showed a significant drop in intraocular pressure, enough that her surgeon decided to postpone the operation. The research on beets and eye health is compelling. Studies have shown that the nitrates in beets can reduce intraocular pressure by up to 25% in some patients. But here's the critical part. You need to consume beets in the right form. Fresh beet juice is most effective, but if you can't tolerate the taste, roasted beets or even beet powder mixed into smoothies can work too. I recommend 1 medium-sized fresh beet daily, either juiced or roasted. If you're using beet juice, start with 4 ounces and work up to 8 ounces as your digestive system adjusts. The third vegetable that can transform your glaucoma prognosis is one that most seniors already have in their kitchen: carrots. But here's what most people don't understand about carrots and eye health. It's not just about the beta-carotene that gets converted to vitamin A carrots contain. It's a unique combination of antioxidants that specifically protect the optic nerve from the oxidative stress that drives glaucoma progression. I'll never forget working with Thomas, an 81-year-old former teacher who had been living with glaucoma for over a decade. Thomas had tried every conventional treatment available, but his condition continued to slowly worsen. His greatest fear was losing his ability to read, which had been his lifelong passion. When I suggested that he start eating 3 large carrots every day, he made fresh carrot juice his morning ritual. Every day at 7 a.m., he would juice for large organic carrots and drink the entire glass. The transformation was gradual but undeniable. After 4 months, Thomas's visual field tests showed no further progression of his glaucoma damage. Even more remarkably, some areas that had shown early damage appeared to have stabilized. The key compound in carrots that makes this possible is beta-carotene, but it's not working alone. Carrots also contain alpha-carotene, lutein, and a host of other carotenoids that work synergistically to protect eye tissue. These compounds are fat-soluble, which means you need to consume them with a small amount of healthy fat for optimal absorption. I always recommend adding a teaspoon of olive oil to carrot juice, or eating carrots with a handful of nuts or avocado. The deeper the orange color, the higher the concentration of protective compounds. Look for organic carrots when possible, and don't peel them unless absolutely necessary. Much of the nutrition is concentrated just under the skin. The fourth and final vegetable that can be a game changer for your glaucoma is one that might make you cry, for all the right reasons. Onions, particularly red onions, contain powerful sulfur compounds and flavonoids that have remarkable anti-inflammatory and circulation-boosting properties. Inflammation is a hidden driver of glaucoma progression that most people never consider. Let me share the story of Dorothy, a 76-year-old retired nurse from Michigan, who understood the importance of nutrition, but had never connected it to her eye health. Dorothy had been managing her glaucoma with eye drops for 5 years, but she was frustrated by the side effects and worried about long-term effectiveness. When I explained how onions could help reduce the chronic inflammation that contributes to optic nerve damage, she was intrigued enough to make a change. Dorothy started incorporating half a raw red onion into her daily routine. She would slice it thin and add it to salads, or chop it and mix it into soups and stews. Within 2 months, Dorothy noticed that her eyes felt less irritated and dry, even though she was still using the same eye drops. More importantly, her next glaucoma, KALE, showed improved optic nerve health and better visual field test results than she'd had in years. The magic in onions comes from compounds called quercetin and sulfur-containing amino acids. Quercetin is a powerful anti-inflammatory agent that can help reduce the chronic inflammation that damages optic nerve tissue over time. Red onions are particularly potent because they contain higher levels of anthocyanins. Remember Margaret from Ohio, whose story opened this video? 6 months after incorporating these 4 vegetables into her daily routine, Margaret's ophthalmologist was amazed at her progress. Her intraocular pressure had dropped to normal ranges. Her optic nerve showed no signs of further damage, and some of her peripheral vision had actually returned. Margaret now grows her own kale and beets in her backyard garden and has become an advocate for nutritional approaches to eye health in her community. Your journey with glaucoma doesn't have to be one of inevitable decline and loss. These 4 humble vegetables offer hope, healing, and the possibility of not just stopping glaucoma progression, but actually improving your eye health.